This video is intended to help you better understand some of the changes that are in process in originating loans and having appraisals completed by the secondary markets, typically involving Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae. The Federal Housing Finance Agency has given a mandate to the government-sponsored enterprises to modernize the lending process, which involves speeding up the lending process, standardizing the lending process, as well as lowering the time that it requires for the secondary markets to give a release from the reps and warrants. This modernization also will affect the way that appraisals are originated and completed. Fannie Mae will be rolling out a new program that they are going to call Value Verify. This process is a departure from the way that appraisals have been originated and provided as part of the loan process. With this program, step one will involve the collection of property data. This collection of data may be completed by appraisers or by third parties. Step two will be to analyze the data for a risk assessment associated with the property. And then step three will be to determine what valuation tool is required. For low-risk properties, an appraisal waiver may be offered. The other two options will be for the property data that was originally collected to be sent to an appraiser who will then complete an appraisal. Alternatively, the process that has been in place could be used where a traditional appraisal is completed and submitted as part of the loan file. The appraisal waiver is essentially where the Fannie Mae does not require an appraisal for a loan to be purchased by them in the secondary market. There will be a process to determine which properties qualify. At the present time, there are about 10% of all loans that Fannie Mae is currently involved with that qualify for the waiver. We understand that that level may increase up to as much as 40%.
It seems likely that the homes that will qualify for the appraisal waiver are those homes where there's lots of data and the properties are in homogeneous neighborhoods. It's more likely that homes in outlying areas or where there's custom features will not qualify for the waiver, which for the appraiser means that the appraisal assignments that they will be receiving will typically involve more complex properties in areas where there's limited data.
What is a bifurcated appraisal? A bifurcated appraisal is where the appraisal process is broken into two parts. The first part is where property data is collected. It may be collected by an appraiser or by a third-party data collector. It is conveyed to Fannie Mae for their analysis. If an appraisal is required, the data is then given to the appraiser who then completes the appraisal based on the data that is provided. Fannie Mae reports that those who would be collecting data at the beginning of the process could include appraisers, but may be extended to other third-party data collectors. Concerns from the appraisers is that the person collecting the data, who is not an appraiser, may not have the competency, may not have had the background checks, or may not have the objectivity to be able to collect and convey the data in an unbiased way, particularly where there is not a licensing process in place at the present time.
Fannie Mae indicates that they will be establishing standards for data collectors. However, it remains to be seen how those standards will be enforced and who will implement them. When appraisals are ordered by an appraisal management company, the oversight may be somewhat limited. Many states are considering establishing standards for data collectors associated with appraisals.
So what will data collectors be responsible for? At this point, we understand that there are 80 data points that will be collected, in addition to taking pictures of the property, measuring the property, and ensure that the physical information associated with the property is complete and accurate. Once the property data has been collected, it is then conveyed to Fannie Mae, who will perform a risk assessment matrix where they will determine if the property qualifies for a waiver or if it needs to have an appraisal completed. We expect that homes located in homogeneous neighborhoods where there's lots of data available is more likely to qualify for the waiver than properties located in areas where there's limited data or where the properties are complex or unique. The advantages of the appraisal waiver is that the lender is indemnified from a buyback from Fannie Mae for issues surrounding the property value. The second is that the loan process is supposed to be faster and does not require a traditional appraisal to be completed on the property. Disadvantages of the appraisal waiver is that an appraisal has not been completed by a qualified credentialed appraiser who may be able to identify potential issues associated with the property that is being purchased. Purchased agreements with an appraisal contingency cannot rely on the lender's appraisal to satisfy this contingency, and they may need to find another way to satisfy that contingency. As a real estate professional agent representing a buyer, what obligations do I have to protect my buyer in making sure that they are making a well-informed purchase decision? If an appraisal waiver is being offered to the buyer, there may be advantages for the borrower to accept the waiver and have that contingency in the contract be satisfied by engaging an appraiser of their choice to help them determine if the decision to purchase the property makes financial sense based on value. What are the advantages of a borrower having an appraisal done outside of the lender's appraiser? First is the buyer has a client relationship with the appraiser, whereas when the lender orders an appraisal, the client relationship between the appraiser is with the lender, and the borrower is not an intended user of that appraisal, and as such the borrower has limited recourse if the appraisal is defective. Second is that the borrower, with the guidance of their real estate professional agent, can help them select the most qualified appraiser to perform the appraisal, whereas when the lender selects the appraiser, you have little say or input on who that appraiser may be, and the appraiser may be selected from a panel that is not qualified to perform the appraisal. There are a number of concerns about the bifurcated appraisal, who the data collectors are going to be, and how effectively an appraiser who has not seen the property will be able to complete an appraisal on a property where the data has been provided by a third-party provider. As more information becomes available, we may be able to answer these questions with more precision. Stay tuned as we look to provide you with more information about the Fannie Mae and the secondary markets bifurcated appraisal process.
The National Association of Appraisers has been actively involved in evaluating the bifurcated appraisals, providing input to the national organizations as well as Fannie Mae in looking out for the interests of both the public and the appraisal community. We would invite anyone who would like to learn more about the bifurcated appraisals, as well as what's happening at a national level in the appraisal profession, to attend the Appraisal Summit starting September 15th through the 17th. There will be a post-summit presentation that will provide some more specific information about Fannie Mae's plans for the bifurcated appraisals. We would also invite any of you who are looking to associate with a professional appraisal organization to consider joining us and helping us to look out for the interests of appraisers around the country.
If you have any questions about bifurcated appraisals or any other valuation questions or issues, feel free to contact us at 435-673-7720 or look for us on the web at acurityutah.com.